All right, this is 4.3, prove triangles are congruent by SSS, which stands for side, side, side. And so there is a postulate, the side, side, side congruence postulate, which says if three sides of one triangle are congruent to three sides of a second triangle, then the two triangles are congruent. So we're going to look at an example of this. So given that KL is congruent to NL, so I'm going to mark this on my diagram here. KL is congruent to NL, and KM is congruent to NM. We need to prove that triangle KLM is congruent to triangle NLM. And if you remember from our last lesson, we talked about corresponding parts and how to write the congruent statement using the corresponding parts. So we need to make sure we pay attention to that. So we have our given. If we know that if three sides of the triangle are congruent to three sides of another, then they're congruent. We already have two sides congruent to each other. So we just need a third side. And if you notice, LM is in both triangles. And so we can say that LM is congruent to itself, and that is the reflexive property. So now we have one side congruent to another, then we have another side congruent to another, and then we finally have our third side. So we now have three sides congruent to another three sides. Therefore, we can say that the triangles are congruent by side, side, side. Now, how are we going to list this? What are the triangles that are congruent? Well, we have KLM, and we have LNM, but we need to make sure we say those in the correct order. So I'm going to start with triangle KLM. Now I need to think about what the corresponding parts are. So if I go from K to L, that's the side with the 1 mark through it. Okay, that's the same side as L and N. And then the next, LM, is reflexive, so that's the same thing. And then the last side is MK or KM. Okay, and so I need to go in the same order. So if I go from K to L to M, that's the side with 1 mark and then the reflexive side. So that means I need to go from N to L to M. So triangle KLM is congruent to triangle NLM by the side, side, side congruence postulate. And just putting SSS would be sufficient there. So when you're looking at a diagram, if you can identify that three sides are congruent to another three sides, then you can say that those two triangles are congruent using this postulate.